Hello, welcome to BIOL1309. Today, this video, we're going to talk about seedless vascular plants. So, we haven't reached the seeded plants or the flowering plants yet, but we are going to talk about some very special plants. Ones that are quite cute and funny and love to be, and stegosauruses love to eat them, I think. They're ferns and their friends, okay? Ferns and fern allies. They make up the seedless vascular plants. So I'm just gonna read off some terrible names here. So Lycophyta, Pteridophyta, Saphenophyta, and Pteridophyta. Okay, just a side note here. I did take a bit of digging, like today, and I've realized these were phylums. These were at some point phylums, but after some revision or just some changes, these are no longer phylums. They were placed at a much lower classification of like a subclass or a class or whatever, like a division, some strange placements. I'm not sure what they are anymore, but that's I realized it wasn't really too important in terms of how you understand them because they're still like their own group of stuff. So, little tangent out of the way, let's first talk about Lycophyta, the club mosses. There are three orders. We have the Lycopodialis. I'm I'm gonna butcher all these names. Selaginellales and Isotelalis. These are the three orders. And first one, the Locopodialis. Oh jeez. Right. Remember from last video, all of these are sporophytes that are diploid. They are not gametophytes that are haploid with one set of chromosomes. Okay. In vascular plants, all of the dominant individuals are sporophytes. They have aerial stems, so that the stems are like touching the air, and then rhizome, which are horizontally running stems. You will see a photo later. Okay, so stems have protostele, where it's the interspersed version, where the xylem is interspersed in the phloem, and both of these are in the center and as the core. Leaves are microphylls, needle-like. See here. And then they have the strobili, which is the sporangia bearing structure at the very tip of the stems. Just a little bit of wood here, strobilus, strobili. All right. So this is a cross section of a strobilus here. So you have sporophylls, which are, you could think of them as sporangia leaves. So sporophylls, sporangia leaves. It's not too big of a deal, just remember the name. And then the sporangium, you've seen it many times. Right, so life cycle, the egg and sperm fuse to form the zygote, and then the sporophyte grows out of the gametophyte, and then it forms into the adult plant with roots. This is the rhizome, the horizontal root, the horizontal stem, sorry. And then you have the leaves, the microphyll, and the strobilus. Okay, so the sporangium here that contains the sporocytes, which are just mother cells of the spores. These are the mother cells are the cells that would carry out meiosis later to form the spores. And then the sporophyll, which I'm not too sure, but I think it like follows this. It follows it, or this is just like a cross section, like turn 90 degrees. I'm not 100% sure what's the use of the sporophyll in terms of reproduction, but anyways, the sporocytes undergo meiosis to form spores. In this case, a tetrad is shown, just that the tetrad is just four daughter cells kind of stuck together, still together really, and then they form into the gametophyte, where it is bisexual, with archegonium that produce egg and the antheridium that produce the sperm, which can allow self-fertilization to form a zygote. Right. This here, you can see, is homosporous. Only one kind of spore is produced, and the gametophyte is tiny, but free living. All right, remember the difference. And wait later, the next example is heterosporous. Ooh. All right, order Selanginales. I'm not gonna butcher that. I'm gonna butcher everything, am I? Small herbs, sporophyte again, diploid, rhizomes, areostomes, protostele. This one is the simple xylem in the middle, surrounded by phloem. And this is the thing. Okay, so rosospores, which are kind of like underground stems, so to speak. It's not necessarily roots. It's kind of like it's again for support. Okay, so for the leaves, there are two type of leaves for Selanginales. It's dimorphic, not two types, but two forms. One is called the ventral leaf, and the other is called the dorsal leaf. The dorsal leaf are, you can see, a bit smaller in this case, while the ventral leaf is larger. Both the dorsal and the ventral leaves have this ligule, like this little spike structure, that are not present in the previous order that we mentioned. Okay, no ligule in the Lycopodias. All right, so for the strobilus, same thing. Sporangia bearing, and this time you see there are two types of sporangia, right? This is the heterosporus that we're talking about. And there's the microsporangia, which contains the microspores, the male spores, and the megasporangia, which contains the female spores that are the megaspores. So that makes it heterosporous. And then the microsporophyll and the megasporophyll just means that this leaf, this sporophyll, is associated with the microsporangia, and this sporophyll, this leaf, is associated with the megasporangia. Okay, this is the microsporangia. This is for the microsporangia. This is for the megasporangia. Okay, did it there. Do not confuse these terms. So be careful. Microsporophylls and megasporophylls, as well as microphylls and megaphylls. These two are talk about general leaves, okay? While these two specifically talk about sporophylls, or under the category of sporophylls. And at the same time, in this case, the microsporophylls are the microsporophylls and megasporophylls are both microphylls. So they're both small leaves, so to speak. And this is another life cycle where the cycle is formed and then the young sporophyte grow into the adult in different strobilus or sporbili. And the megasporocytes, the mother cells of the megaspores, would produce megaspores through meiosis, while the microsporocytes would produce microspores. Again, the megasporophyll and the microsporophyll is here. I'm not sure why. And then these microspores here would become the male gametophyte with the amphitheorium to produce flagellated sperm. Needs water. This needs water. While the megaspores would develop into the archegonium. Oh no, sorry, the female gametophyte with archegonium that has the egg, and then it allows fusing. Right. Again, I want to emphasize endosporous gametophytes. These gametophytes, you see, they never leave the spore. They are still sort of living inside the spore. Like maybe it has tiny extensions, but overall it will not like grow any bigger, too big, much bigger than the spore. It's a very similar size or even always inside. Okay, right. So then now we will move on to the next order, Isotalis, with the example Isoatis. Okay, right. This is an aquatic herb. Again, the sporophyte and such. The leaves you can see they're very long, but they're still microphylls. That means they only have one big vascular tissue going through the entire leaf, unlike megaphylls that are highly branched. Alright, so a bit of the look of the sporangia. You have the, again, this is two mega and micro, so two types of spores. That means it is a heterosporous plant. The megaspores are in the megasporangium, and the microspores are in the microsporangium. Unlike the two orders that we mentioned above, there is no strobolus or strobili, while all the sporangium or sporangia they're at the base of the leaves, so around here. Okay, the comb, the roots, not much special. Okay, and then we are okay. This is the diagram of the reproduction cycle. The cycle fusing and then growing into young sporophyte, growing to mature. The two different kinds of spores are produced with microspores, megaspores, and then the microspore growing to the male gametophyte, while the megaspores growing to the female gametophytes. And then again, endosporous gametophytes, which means that they do not like grow past the spore. Okay, so this part, the sperm, still needs water. Again, this plant is actually aquatic, so the sperm still, I think, can move and needs water to disperse after fusing, and then the cycle repeats. Alright, that's it for Lycophyta. Now we move on to Psilophyta, the whisk ferns, which is a bit of an interesting outlier. They do not have leaves. So, um, in case you didn't know or still forgot somehow, um, vascular tissue and organs like leaves, they're more advanced, so they appeared later during the evolution of plants, but due to some, maybe you could say, secondary reduction in evolution, plant leaves are leaves are devolved or just stopped appearing in this phylum or class or subclass, whatever. So they do not have leaves, but the stems do the photosynthesis because they're green, and they will have chlorophyll, chloroplast, those things. And then the stem, again, is the protostele, so it is in the middle, the phloem, xylem, and I believe Cleve mentioned this part specifically. So you can see sometimes there is this ring of like thicker cells, and people sometimes mistake that as the xylem. Those are not xylems; those are thick-walled cells, and you kind of have to remember what plants have what type of steel arrangement. So, for this um phylum, I'm sorry, yeah, this phylum, they have protostele. That means the phylum, xylem, they're in the core. The phloem and xylem, they're in the core, right? And the thick wall cells are outside. And then moving on, the sporangia, they're these little bulbs that are on the stems, and they are in groups of three, fused together. Homosporous, only producing one kind of spore. And then spore dispersal, this bursts open to disperse spores. And these gametophytes, they're tiny and free living. Remember, homosporous leads to tiny and free living gametophytes, while heterosporous are endosporous gametophytes that do not grow beyond these spores. And then a bit of stuff, and these are also bisexual, so one individual has two sex, so they can do self-fertilization. Again, this is the diagram, not going to go through it, so growing and then dispersing, growing again, etc., etc. You have seen this diagram for so many times. I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with what happens. Okay, now we'll go on to the horsetails, the next phylum, the Cephinophyta. I believe this is the last of the fern allies. Okay, so this genus, Equistum, I think, underground rhizomes, so this part, this is underground, while with aerial branches, so these are all aerial branches. Leaves and branches are hurled at nodes, so it's kind of like at each little segment, those are nodes. And then this also is often partially submerged in water. Right, so horsetails actually got their name from this structure, the strobolus. We're back again. This part looks like a tail, but this part, they might also look like a tail, but you can see these green little things here. They may look like leaves, but they're not leaves. Those are actually stems. They are photosynthetic stems. Now, where did the leaf go? The leaves are here. These are the leaves. Interestingly, they are highly reduced megaphils. That means that they actually have a highly branched vascular tissues, and then the stems have jointed appearance, so it's kind of like each segment, each segment, each segment, and they're used as Chinese medicine. It kind of looks like macaroni. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it will taste well. Okay, so now we move on to a cross section of the horsetail. You can see there are big air cavities for gaseous exchange. I believe Cleve said that the gaseous exchange is for the parts underwater as well as the parts above water, like between those two parts. But I'm not 100% sure. You have to look into it if you're interested. And the vascular strand, this part is actually the symphonophil or siphonostele. The xylem is surrounded by the phloem, I think. While actually no, siphonal steel just means that the xylem phloem is surrounds the core. I'm not 100% sure. Is it mentioned somewhere? I don't think. Okay, never mind. It's not mentioned, but just remember it is siphonal steel. But I don't know if it is amphiphilic steel or ectophilic steel. To me, it looks more like this for horsetails. Look it out yourself. I'm not going to look for it in this video for you. Okay, and then Strobilus is where the sporangias are. Looks like that. And then the strobili consists of sporangiospores, which bear the sporangia. And same again, homosporous, only producing one type of spores. The sporangia spore, the sporangia spore is here. I'm not too sure what's the difference then. Sporangia, I guess this is the sporangia, and this is the sporangia spore. Oh well. Alright, this part is a little bit it requires like it may confuse you for a little bit. Okay, so each spore has the attached elater which aids in spore dispersal, and this elater comes from the spore, so it's haploid. But if you remember, in liverworts, I Dementiaceae, I'm not going to remember the genus, but the genus with like man something, they also have elyters, but that elyter actually comes from the sporophyte. So it is that elyter. The liverwort elyter is diploid, while this elyter, horsetail elyter, is haploid. Okay, so don't confuse it. If you're watching this video, you have done the lab. You've done the first lab. You have seen elyters before. Okay, and then the horsetails, the gametophytes, they're bisexual, free living, yada yada yada. This part, I don't want to go through again. Just look at it yourself. Not too important. Finally, we've reached the ferns, the true ferns themselves. Right. There are many different growth forms for ferns. There's the iconic herb-like with many different how do you say it? Like different parts of leaves or such. And then tree ferns, which are very tall, but it's just kind of look like this one but extended. The epiphytes. This thing is apparently a fern. I didn't know. This one is just growing like on the stem of a plant. It's not a parasitic relationship. It's more like commensalism, where this one gets like a higher space while the other does not even care and receives nothing, but is not harmed. There are also aquatic ferns. Not much here. Okay, so ferns generally have underground rhizomes. So this little part here with aerial leaves, so the leaves are touching the air. The rhizome have amphil, so like steels. That means the xylem is wrapped around by the phloem, while this one, so both the xylem and the phloem wraps around the core or surrounds the core. Okay. All right. All right. So the leaves, they're megaphils. Generally are highly divided, with a lot of like branches. The fern leaves are called fronds. This is called a frond. And the early development of fronds, they're typically coiled like this, but That's called, and then as they grow and develop, they will extend out. And in some, I think Steve said Asian countries or whatever, some place, they're eaten as vegetables. To me, they look like green shrimp. If you know like the story of Dr. Seuss, like green ham, green egg, you got a new menu item, the green shrimp. I'm not sure if they will taste good. I don't think they will. I feel like they would taste a bit bitter, but who knows? Maybe one day. Okay, so now the reproduction. There is something called the sori, which is the group of sporangia that contains the spores. Let's see, sporus. I think this entire thing is the sporus. Usually found on the underside of a frond. So if you're going to wild, see if flip it over, and you can see many little dots, and those are the sori, covered by flaps of protective tissue, which is called the indusia, like this part. Most ferns are homosporous, so only producing one spores, while some, like the aquatic families, are heterosporous. Yep. So this entire thing is the sorus, this is the industrium, and these are the angiosperm. Oh, sorry, and sporangium. And then these little dots are the spores. A bit of a higher detail. Kind of look like it kind of looks like the parasitic wasps, like after the larvae come out of the caterpillar. That's how it looks like. A bit scary, and also a good way to like handle I forgot the English. Yeah, I do not remember. Cannot remember at the top of my head. Okay, so more examples, more examples. This thing, Indusium, you can see it covers a lot of sporangia to protect them. Some sorry are protected by the extension of leaf margins. Alright, so like this. So you can see like this little green part, that's the extension. Some sorry are covered by like a flap, while others are like along the veins, and this is that's the one. I don't remember the name again. My memory is getting bad worse. Epiphytes. The epiphytes has these indusia and stories that are linear along the veins, so they go like each vein has one. Some stories just don't have indusium. Yeah, okay, so the zygotes fertilize and grows to a young sporophyte, and then the frond such roots. These are like I think these are like roots like, or I don't remember this. Whatever, just doesn't really matter. Saurus, not mentioned, not important. Indusium, protecting the sporangia, and then meiosis, producing spores, germinate into tiny free living gametophytes that are bisexual, and then I'm pretty sure they can self-fertilize. Yeah, self-fertilize, and the sperm here, you can see needs like it has flagella, so it probably needs water to go to fertilize. Okay, so this is the a bit of a conclusion for the ferns and their friends, and a bit more. So microphyls is really only present in Lycophyta. Yep. While the Fleecophyta is the odd one out, with leafless, and the rest of these are megaphils, highly branched, with leaves that are big and broad with highly branched vascular tissues. And then these three are homosporous. This this phylum, this genus or order, this order is homosporous, while these orders are heterosporous. And then the seeded plants, they are heterosporous as well. Okay, so Cleve actually also did a Kahoot with us, and let's go over it. Which of the following are vascular plants? If you cannot answer this right now, go do revision. Pine, rose, and Selengia, they are vascular plants. This is a moss. This is a liverwort, and this is an algae. Okay, good. The dominant phase of life cycle in vascular plant is the sporophyte. Alright, okay, good. Which of the following type of steel arrangement is this? The proto steel. All right, in the as the core, proto steel. Sporangia are arranged in the strobili in these plants. Oh no, yeah. So that means just spore. There is the structure strobili. Sorry, the lycopodium, the horsetails, and the sylangia. This one does not. This one, I think. Let me see. This one is at the little bulbs. This one is this one has spores along the veins, and this one is at the base. Which of the following plants are heterosporous? Only these two. These two are the fern ally and ferns these two are the only heterosporous orders in fern and fern family, while the rest of the seeded plants are heterosporous. Right, that is the end of fern and fern allies. I hope you have enjoyed it. Cleve also started like seeded plants, so here, but we didn't really go that far in, so I'm just going to just here. Look at it yourself. I'm not gonna go through it in this video, okay? I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next video. All right. And also, right. Um, I see that if you're still watching, go watch this video. The one I wrote like important, the one evolution of vascular plants, because this one has a lot of things that are very new and like needs explanation, like whatever this is, microfilm, like megafilm, microfill, and such. So go watch this, okay? Watch this. All right, that's the end for me. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.